The headlines for Fox News just keep getting worse in the wake of Tucker Carlson's firing. Not only have the network's ratings fallen off a cliff, but Tucker's new Twitter show is receiving massive numbers of views, like in the tens of millions. There have been reports recently that their internal employee portal was riddled with LGBTQ pride propaganda, and last week a loyal 10-year vet of the channel was forced to resign after he approved an on-air chyron saying, quote, "Wannabe dictator speaks at White House," after having his political rival arrested, unquote. He didn't even get a warning. Morale must be pretty low these days at 1211 Avenue of the Americas in Manhattan, Fox headquarters. Carlson's biographer, Chadwick Moore, thinks things are about to get even worse for the former #1 cable news network, which was recently leapfrogged by MSNBC. Ouch. He, as in Chadwick Moore, says that at least 9 staffers have exited and are now joining Tucker Carlson's team instead. He tweeted out, quote, "My sources have now told me 9 former Tucker Carlson Tonight staffers have left Fox News to join Tucker on his next venture. There are others who are waiting to leave as soon as a role opens up for them with Tucker. Each of the 9 approached Tucker, not the other way around," unquote. Moore believes that chyron guy might be one of those joining forces with Carlson who, until his departure from Fox, pulled in the highest ratings of any cable news show. Again, Chadwick tweeted out, quote, "The based chyron guy, Alex McCaskill, was a former Tucker Carlson Tonight producer who has now left Fox News after 10 years en route to join Tucker's new team. He is one of at least 3 former producers who have left Fox News to join Tucker's new venture," unquote. Moore wasn't done. He also tweeted out, quote, "Tucker Carlson's team at Fox was extremely close. Most of them were there from the launch of the show until its end, and they've stood by their boss in the aftermath. I wrote about it in my book," unquote. He also claims that many former guests won't appear on Fox anymore. We know at least one of them, its attorney, Harmay Dillon. She tweeted out a few days back, quote, "For all the friends who have been asking, why don't we see you on Fox anymore? This is why. I am passionately committed to free speech and a free flow of information necessary for a free society. Until Fox stops trying to silence Tucker, it's not a place for me, and I feel for my friends working at the network, which has clearly caved into pressure from some quarter to silence Tucker Carlson." What you are seeing on Fox today is a censored version of the news. Keep that in mind as you make your viewing and your commenting choices, unquote. In closing, if Rupert Murdoch, or whichever of his progeny won its secession, thought that the termination of Tucker Carlson would soon fade into distant memory and the network would quickly recover, he appears to have miscalculated, like bigly. The ratings across the primetime board tell the story. Many viewers are sick of the network and feel it's abandoned its core audience. If Chadwick Moore is correct, staffers feel the same damn way. But on a good note, I guess, for me anyways, the world makes a little more sense. Because for years, I was only there for Tucker, really. I mean, I couldn't stand Sean Hannity constantly talking about knowing mixed martial arts, playing the pathetic tough guy, throwing foam footballs around the studio, repeating the same damn talking points over and over and over again for what seemed like years, like a wind-up doll. And frankly, I don't care what anybody says. Laura Ingraham is a horrible host. She was okay in radio when she had 3 hours to work with, but on television, she just can't help but cut people off constantly. It's pretty obvious that after 5 to 6 years of her being on the air, she still cannot figure out that in a 6 to 8 minute segment, you've got 2 minutes, the first 2 minutes past the commercial, to express your tired-ass opinion that we all know because you've had the same tired-ass opinion for the last 5 or 6 years before a brilliant mind like Victor Davis Hanson gets to answer one of your questions. And come to think of it, clock management is just part of the problem with Laura Ingraham. I'm sorry, folks, I've really fallen down a rabbit hole here, haven't I? But it's so annoying that this woman can't let anybody outshine her on her show, like she doesn't have a 10 to 15 minute monologue, if she feels like it, at the beginning of the show to show how great and wonderful and intelligent, smart, and cutting edge she is. And while we're at it, let's go back down the clock. Jesse Waters, for starters, you're not that damn good looking, brother. I'm sorry, you're not. And when are you going to grow a pair and become something other than Bill O'Reilly Jr.? I mean, don't get me wrong, there's potential there. Just, damn, dial the ego down a little bit, bro. Oh, and get this, I just found out Kennedy is gone. That's right, they're shutting her show down over on Fox Business. I'm a Gen Xer. I remember her from way back in the heydays, hosting on MTV. So that's kind of a bummer. Anyways, this is all kind of coming apart due to one guy getting fired. That one guy held all of this together, apparently. Here's a little clip of his last episode on Twitter.
Hey, it's Tucker Carlson. On Tuesday afternoon, the Biden administration had Donald Trump arrested. It was a pretty big news story. You may have seen it. Just before 9 p.m. that night, as part of its coverage, Fox News ran 2 live video feeds next to one another. On the right, Donald Trump addressed his supporters in New Jersey. On the left, Joe Biden spoke at an event for the Secretary General of NATO in Washington. Beneath those videos at the bottom of the screen, Fox's banner read this way, quote, "Wannabe dictator speaks at the White House after having his political rival arrested." Those words were up for less than 30 seconds, but the effect was immediate. Inside Fox, the women who run the network panicked. First, they scolded the producer who put the banner on the screen. Less than 24 hours after that, he resigned. He'd been at Fox for more than a decade. He was considered one of the most capable people in the building. He offered to stay for the customary 2 weeks, but Fox told him to clear out his desk and leave immediately. Then the company issued a public apology for the 27-second-long wannabe dictator line. Quote, "The chyron was taken down immediately," Fox's PR department said, and then added ominously it was, quote, "addressed." That was all true, but it was not enough to save Fox News from the ensuing scandal. For a time in the rest of the media, Fox's assessment of Donald Trump's arrest seemed to overshadow Trump's arrest itself. Suggesting that Biden is a dictator, declared the Washington Post, quote, "crossed the line." Alexander Vindman agreed strongly. Vindman is the perennial MSNBC guest and full-time Ukraine promoter you may remember from Russiagate. On Twitter, he demanded that the Pentagon pull Fox News from all military bases. It is, quote, "absolutely unacceptable for American Forces Network to carry programming that directly, spuriously, attacks the Commander-in-Chief of American Armed Forces," Vindman wrote. In other words, Joe Biden must ban all criticism of himself because that's what non-dictators do. John Cusack went further still. "For the crime of calling Biden a dictator, Fox should be shut down," wrote the 80s-era movie star. Quote, "the government has to take away their broadcasting license." And so on. It was all over the internet. Democrats were very, very angry. But why were they angry? If the banner on Fox was false, why the hysteria? Lies don't seem to bother anyone anymore. If some cable news producer had called Joe Biden a genius or accused him of being secretly Sudanese, would anyone be yelling about it? Would Fox News have apologized for it? Probably not. But calling Joe Biden a wannabe dictator, that stung. So you've got to wonder, if you're being honest with yourself, is Joe Biden a wannabe dictator? That question came up yesterday at the White House briefing. Here's how it went.
Last night, Fox News ran a chyron that referred to the president as a wannabe dictator, and I'm wondering if the White House has any comment on that.
So look, there are probably about 787 million things that I can say about this that was wrong about what we saw last night, but I don't think I'm going to get into it.
There's no comment the White House has on.
I think I just commented.
Oh, no comment necessary. Of course Joe Biden's not a wannabe dictator. Just because he's trying to put the other candidate in prison for the rest of his life for a crime he himself committed doesn't mean he has a totalitarian impulse. Come on, that's absurd. It takes a lot more than jailing your political rivals to earn the title wannabe dictator. That's the consensus in Washington tonight.
Most of this came by way of redstate.com. If you liked it, hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. Leave a comment down below. There's a PayPal link in the description box, so please put $1 in the bucket on the way out the door. I'd like to thank everyone for all your donations. They're much needed and much appreciated. Now, with all that being said, we'll see you next time.
Come on, move. Move. Easy, easy.